This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work, responding to another Ask Prof Wolff question from our Patreon community. This one comes from Adam Alvarez. And Adam asks me to respond to a short video he sent me, and I want to describe it briefly to you and tell you why it is an important work that we're talking about. The video was prepared by Ray Dalio, and it is actually a shortened summary of his book called The Changing World Order, published in 2021. Ray Dalio, and it's spelled D-A-L-I-O, is an important figure. And since I don't say that about all that many CEOs in our capitalist world, I think I owe you an explanation. Ray Dalio founded something called Bridgewater Associates back in 1975. Since 1985, he has been co-chief investment officer, and Bridgewater has become the largest hedge fund in the world. He is therefore sitting atop one of the greatest collections of money that exists in the world. He is personally a billionaire as a result. But the reason I'm talking about him, and the reason I think Adam Alvarez sent in his question, is that he's very different from most of his fellow billionaires because, for example, it's clear in his thinking that the United States is a declining capitalist empire. He's not afraid to say it. He's not afraid to draw the implications of such an assessment. Here's his argument in brief. Over the last 500 years, we have seen the rise and fall of three empires and the rise of a fourth. And he wants us to understand there is a pattern here that he, as an investor, has to pay attention to because it governs his choice. And again, he has become the single most successful investor, probably in Wall Street history. The Dutch Empire rose and fell. The British Empire rose out of the dust of the Dutch, and it fell. The American Empire rose in its own revolution against the British Empire to become the fourth empire with a rise and fall, and now, the third, and the fourth one is China, but there we only see the rise. We do not yet see what Ray Dalio will predict, that it will fall too. And that you better pay attention because that explains a great deal about the world. Ray Dalio does a good job of explaining this rise and fall, thoroughly in his book, summarily in his videos. And he has some reasons he offers. For example, inequalities that develop inside these empires, the reliance on debt to extend the life of an empire, the social conflicts inside between rich and poor, those whose fortunes rise with the empire, but who then want to hold on beyond what they can. Cheap, too much money production, inadequate attention to infrastructure. Should sound pretty familiar. Most of these are components of economic decline. He sees them everywhere here in the United States and wants us to understand that this is a pattern, this has been repeated, and we are following a script here built into the system. And right there is where Ray Dalio falls a little short, because you need to analyze how the way the system is organized produces these outcomes. Because here's an interesting fact. The Dutch, the British, the American, and now the Chinese are cycles, if you like, rises and falls of empire, if you like, but they're all based on an economic system which is organized in a very particular way, where the goods are produced and the services are produced. And you will not be surprised to hear me say, in their ways of organizing, a small group of people called employers own and operate the enterprises in which a large number of people, called employees, do the work. And the small group that own and run the enterprise take the bulk of the gains the enterprise achieves for themselves. The mass of people do the work and get relatively little. The people at the top have a very cushy job and situation and take the bulk for themselves. Out of that relationship, much of the empire building that Dalio nicely describes happens. And out of the excesses of that group in its particular structure comes the downturn of the empire that Dalio describes. But he is carefully, whether he's conscious of it or not, I don't know. I do not know the man. But he's very carefully avoiding looking at or analyzing how the structure, the organization of enterprise plays a role in the rise and the fall. And that's a fault, because otherwise you begin to look everywhere but the system. That's a way of protecting the system from critical thought, and there's no justification for that. And if you think, well, empire has always existed, the Roman, the Greek, and all, yeah, but they were very different. They rose and they fell, but they lasted much longer. They had different quality. They were based on a different system. In one case, slavery, in another case, feudalism, and so forth. Therefore, it's important to look at the structure, because that's maybe where we have to make the change so we don't continue to have the rise and fall of empires that we have suffered through for the last 500 years. Ray Dalio is a very smart executive at the top, and he's able and willing to see it and call it as it is. If videos like this strike you as reasonable and interesting, let us ask you to partner with us. Share this video. Friends, co-workers, family, anyone. That's what we're here for, to get these kinds of ways of thinking out there. And you can help us do that by partnering and making use of this video. And of course, if you can help us financially to pay the costs, that would be all the more appreciated. Thank you.